Hey, what's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith, and I am joined today by the Lone Ranger, Kyle West. What's up, man?
Heyo, I am doing good. I am ready to chat some Minnesota Vikings football. It's a little bit later than what we usually go on, but I'm still excited to talk about it.
I am too, and if you guys can believe it or not, this is episode number 301, entitled Straight Outta Conklin.
One.
Straight out of Conklin for Tyler Conklin, the new tight end that we just drafted. Just wanted to name something spoofy. Our genius here, Adam, he's tied up with other things, and he decided to give us the reins tonight. So let him have a day off, and hopefully we will keep the ship afloat, as I always say. But thank you to anybody that's tuning in this late. If you watch it tomorrow or anything like that, just let us know. Let us know what you thought of it. Give us some comments on the Facebook page or the Twitter machine, whatever you want. And especially, I got to promote the iTunes thing. So if you can go and rate us on iTunes, I'll start it out at the beginning of the show and let you know. Rate us on iTunes, 1 or 5 stars. It doesn't matter. Tell us what you like and what you don't like. We love interaction because we want to make the show better for you. So just throwing those out there for the beginning of the show. Let us know what you think. Shoot us a line, and we'll get back to you pretty quick. Jumping into some quick hits. If you guys are Game of Thrones fans,
I'm a big Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I'm going to catch up on it eventually. I'm always late on the good stuff, but that way I can just binge watch all of it when it's completely done. That's my excuse for it. But the actor, the Mountain, that huge mountain of a man, Hafthor Bjornsson, a.k.a. Serge Gregor Clegane or Clegane.
No, okay. It's Sir Gregor Clegane, the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
You said it was Icelandic before we started. They have such stout names. And it's fitting for him for how huge he is and how strong he is. Speaking of how strong he is, he won the annual World's Strongest Man competition. He can deadlift over 1,000 pounds.
That is a lot of pounds. We bring this up because he's also a really big Minnesota Vikings fan. You've probably seen photos of him, of the Mountain, on the Vikings social media, where he's one of the few people that can make Everson Griffen look like a small individual. It's some good stuff, and really cool that he was named the world's strongest man. I like that. Fun way to start the show out, I think.
Yeah, it's a cool quick hit. Like you guys, like Kyle and Adam, usually talk about wrestling, or if they can tie in The Walking Dead or something like that. It's cool, but I haven't seen it, but I know who he is. And if you haven't, if you're just completely numb to the subject or blind to it, so go back and look and see when he came last year and Everson Griffen, because we all know how big Everson is, and he looks like Jerick McKinnon standing next to him, and he was talking a little bit of crap, which it was all in fun. But yeah, I like that he's a Vikings fan. He was actually at US Bank Stadium for some stuff, and you go check that out and go dig it up. Just look up the Mountain and the Vikings, and I'm sure it'll pop up on Google. But that was a cool way to start the show, so that was good. I give Kyle all the credit for that one. Moving right along, Vikings began rookie minicamp on Friday, May the 3rd at TCO Performance Center. It was only a 3-day camp, so the activities already concluded. I'd like to put my 2 cents in on this because I heard a lot about the overall picks. If you've never been, if you're a new listener to the show, first of all, thanks. Please keep listening. We love it. For me, I'm very sports rounded. I love sports. I consume sports all day long, whether it be ESPN, Fox, whatever it is, podcasts. And I hear a lot of stuff about, let's talk about the number 1 overall pick for second, Baker Mayfield. Or the number 3 pick for the Jets. Was it Sam Darnold? They're talking about, he threw an interception at minicamp. Like, you guys understand, if you don't have a preface for it and a basis on what minicamp is, these are pretty much walkthroughs. You get the kind of the grind of what the daily schedule is. You got to do workouts, then you do film study, then you go on the field, or whatever order that goes in. So it's good for them to break them in immediately after the draft and get rolling. And I'm sure this is pretty cool for the draftees, feeling like, man, okay, this is my first taste of being a pro, and this is what it's going to take to kind of ease them in, which with any position, if you're a rookie, I think easing someone is the best way to go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We have a request for you in the chat.
Yeah.
It says you need to make a cheesy Purple People podcast intro song, which I've been saying for a long time that you should do that. So
you know what? I've got something in mind, and I got 2 guitars over here, so I'll figure that out. And if anything, I just plug in this little amp that I have with my electric guitar and throw some distortion on and just throw some cool little power chords, and then maybe a little with the acoustic and make it fun. If not, I'll plug my band real fast too, Disposable Ink. I have some genius bandmates here in my Metallica cover band, and they could come up with something that is either hard rock sounding or just something goofy, or maybe a combination of both. So That's a good one.
Would be cool.
Who requested that, by the way?
That was J Dozy.
What's up, J Dozy?
Yeah. Back to Vikings rookie mini camp. It's short. It's only a 3-day period that the rookies are out there and the undrafted guys. First time we really get to see TCO Performance Center in action. That's always fun. You're right. The players are not even in pads, I don't think. I think they're just in a jersey and shorts, and they're out there running around and doing some drills. But it's the first step towards actual football activity. It's exciting. It's an opportunity where you get to hear, really for the first time, from some of the rookies that have been drafted, the new Minnesota Vikings. You get to hear from them. They talk to the press, and you get to meet their personality a little bit. And it's fun. It's not much, but it's the first step. And we have some players, which you'll get to here. We have 4 players that were signed to the 90-man roster after getting a tryout with the team over this rookie minicamp.
Right. 4 players are signed, and they also released 4 players. So we'll go through those. We have signed wide receiver Chad Beebe, who's the son of former Bills wide receiver Don Beebe, cornerback Craig James, solid name, fullback Johnny Stanton. That's some like throwback greaser 40s style name. I love that. I see him in like a white T-shirt with like Elvis hair. Fullback Johnny Stanton.
I dig it. Hey, to be a fullback, you got to be a throwback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And fullback's kind of a throwback position anyways. It's pretty good. And linebacker Brett Taylor. Those were 4 players that were signed to the 90-man roster. Now, of course, when the season or the offseason progresses, they're going to cut these down. They're going to do 2 cuts down to the final 53. Good luck to these guys. If not, maybe they'll make the practice squad, but best of luck to them. Unfortunately, with 4 additions, we had to release 4 players. We've released long snapper Nick Dooley, wide receiver Armonte Foreman, defensive tackle Kashad Lyons, and fullback Cameron Pedway. So sorry to see those guys go. Maybe they'll get a chance on another team. Maybe they'll get to our practice squad or some other practice squad. But best of luck. Because the NFL's a grind.
It's that time of year where you can only have, 90 players on your roster. And so there's a lot of – they'll be here one week, they'll be gone the next week. That's just the time of year that we're in. And we know that Rick Spielman, historically, he loves to take a look at as many players as possible. So there's a chance that some of these guys could maybe come back. You never know. I would never rule that out for any of them, especially this time of year, like I said, where the roster is so up and down on some of these fringe players. Always exciting and interesting to see all these roster moves. I like to pay close attention to them because I believe, was Adam Thielen ever cut? I don't think he was ever cut. But, remember, this is the path that Adam Thielen took, going from the 90-man roster to the practice squad to being a fringe player to being a star playmaker for the Vikings. So you never know what can happen with these guys.
Yeah, from undrafted to having to pay his way to go to a combine to get scouted, making the practice squad, finding a spot on the 53. And like you said, being the first wide receiver to get 1,000 yards at almost 10 years since Sidney Rice and the Brett Favre year, which was amazing. That you took the words right out of my mouth, man. This is where you find those diamond in the rough players. And, if you're going to have time to have 90 people, have those 90 people and give everybody a shot. Who knows? And that's where, like we said, we find those players that you don't know how they got overlooked, but if they can come in and contribute and maybe you can mold them, who knows? Maybe we'll have another Adam Thielen on our hands. Yeah.
I've heard people talking a little bit about Chad Beebe, a little bit already, with him having the pedigree of coming from a former NFL wide receiver on his father. So he's someone that we should maybe look for. Maybe he can make a splash during training camp.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be great. I have to look up Chad and Don and see their history, but that's kind of crazy, man. You think about guys like Clay Matthews, their whole family's full of athletes, and there's some Bears players too. I think the Longs, they've had people there, and they play for the Eagles and the Patriots too. It's kind of cool how that's just like in their blood. That's just crazy to think, but good luck to them. I'll look into that later on and see what that's all about, but good luck to all those guys. I really like this next one. Willie McGinnis, former Patriot. I think he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He ranked Everson Griffen as the 4th best pass rusher in the NFL. And if I'm thinking of pure edge rushers, I don't know if he's considering the DNs or the linebackers, but to be
he was doing a list of just pass rushers. So no,
dude,
3-4 and 4-3.
That's insane because you're thinking about guys like J.J. Watt, who's going to be back this year. He's going to be healthy. Von Miller, former Super Bowl MVP. And those are 2 out of the 4 off the top of my head that I'm going to think that are 1 or 2, switch them around either or. I don't know who number 3 would be right off the top of my head, but good God, man. If you're number 4 out of – and think there's 32 teams and there's 2 DNs on each team and even linebackers you can throw in there. That's almost 32 to 64. I mean, multiply that again. That's up in the 90s to the hundreds. That's pretty good compliment. And I don't think that it's a stretch. Everson's continued to get better and better each year. Now it sucks because he's getting after this year, it'll be a little long in the tooth, as we like to say, but he's just getting better and better. And I love it. He deserves all the recognition that he gets.
He had a really amazing start last season.
Oh,
How many games? What did he go? 7 games
8 in a row with a sack, and a couple of those, a handful of those were 1 or more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically by halfway in the season, he already had 10 or more sacks, which is crazy. Because you think about the season we had, we were atrocious that year, but that was like the year Jared Allen was so close to beating the sack record. That was what he was on pace for. So, hopefully we can see that happen again and he can continue it the whole season.
Yeah, Everson got a little banged up, and you can never really fault a guy for getting banged up unless he's Sam Bradford. Then you're totally within your reason to rag on the guy for getting injured because it happens all of the friggin' time. It's in his contract that he's going to be injured by week 4. But Everson is also a very humble guy. You listen to him speak, you listen to him talk on like K-Fan, talking to Paul Allen, and he always wants to enter the off season and learn something new and get better and hone his craft. He's always trying to constantly work. He's in a position where he got a big contract and he's had success and he can kind of rest on, what he's done, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to get better.
He's got a great motor. I don't think he's as quite as motoristic, I just made up a word, as Jared Allen, but he's right there. Funny thing, too, I follow because I was stationed in Virginia before I was down here now where I'm in El Paso, Texas. Our backup safety, Harris, I can't remember his first name, Anthony Harris. Follow him on social media. He was I think it was the TCO Performance Center or whatever, and he was zooming in on Everson, and he's alone in the corner of the end zone. And I don't know if Anthony was in the stands or if he was just somewhere chilling, but he was off on the side. And he was doing like a Steve Irwin kind of thing. He's like, and now in his natural habitat, the Everson Griffen. and you can see Everson over there just going by himself, going through drills and getting pumped up. And I'm like, this is why we love this guy. And if you don't like Everson Griffen on the field or you don't like anything like that, just go watch his post-game interviews after the Jets overtime win or after the Saints saying that's pure entertainment. He could have his own TV show.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Do you ever watch someone like Everson Griffen and you're like, there's a number of reasons why I'm not a professional athlete, but chief among them, you look at how hard he works, and I'm like, dude, I'm too lazy. I don't have I will freely admit I don't have the work ethic of Everson Griffen. He constantly working, constantly.
Yeah, he's always on the grind. It's crazy. I wish I had that much motivation just to go to the gym and not have a pudgy stomach. And this guy's like, I'm going to go out here and just beat up the air for 3 hours every day because I want to. Speaking of former Viking standouts, get ready for this one. With the single-handedly worst performance ever by a Viking quarterback, I'll go ahead and say it. 'Cause it's kind of like Steven Crowder. He's got that thing that says, blah, blah, change my mind. I'm going to put a meme on that and put it out on our Facebook. Josh Freeman had the worst performance ever as a Viking quarterback. Change my mind. Let's talk about Josh Freeman on the podcast today. He is trying out for the CFL's Montreal Alouettes. That's cool. I didn't even know that he was still slinging a football.
I did not know that either. We had an interesting discussion where I could not remember if Josh Freeman was at one point considered good or not.
He was.
It's been so long ago that none of us remember, but apparently he was at one point considered a good potential quarterback.
When Tampa Bay, this was 2012. Yep, that was the season. I remember because I was pissed that game that we lost to the Bucs. That was the game Jared Allen and Donald Penn almost fist fought. It was awesome. But Josh Freeman was a quarterback. During the Tampa Bay years, he had a really good season or two there. And I was like, oh, cool, man. They might have a franchise quarterback there. And they just kind of spiraled off the deep end. He showed up late for stuff. I don't think his heart was in it. I can't speak for him. I don't have a lot of research on him, but I do know he had some extracurricular stuff, showing up late, not really having his heart there. Some of the teammates were even saying, we don't know if he's fully in it. But, I mean, he's still trying to play football, and that's cool. I mean, good luck to you and the CFL up in Montreal.
Get that paycheck, man. Get that paycheck.
This is my favorite quick hit of the week because I saw it today.
I knew you'd love this one.
All right, so I plugged my Metallica band. I'm very eclectic with music. I like everything from Marvin Gaye to Bruno Mars to Avenged Sevenfold to, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. Who cares? Whatever you like. I'm from the South. My mom loved Kenny Chesney. I'm not as big a fan, but I do know he's a hit machine. He's a very rich man. And he plays venues like football stadiums and baseball fields all the time because he's that big. He's been that big for years. So this weekend he was at US Bank Stadium, and somebody you might recognize if you can find it on Twitter. I believe it's on the Daily Norseman, and they gave Adam Carlson, our own Adam Carlson, a shout out, which was cool.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I believe that's what he said in the chat today. If I'm wrong, I'll take the hit for it. But basically, they gave him a shout out. But there's a bunch of Twitter videos because Mike Zimmer, the head coach of the Vikings, was pulled on stage and he led the crowd in the skull chant. And I was thinking, oh, this isn't like a football game. These are all the locals in Minnesota, and everybody in that place was doing the skull chant with Mike Zimmer. And the fact that Kenny and his people and his crew recognized him and said, hey, that's the head coach of the Vikings, man, bring him up here. That's totally earned brownie points in my book. I actually sent it to my mom because she loves Kenny Chesney, and she's like, yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. So if you guys get a chance to go on the Twitter sphere, figure that out, or go to the Daily Norseman. I'll shout them out because they wrote an article about it. Check it out. See Mike Zimmer up on stage with Kenny Chesney at US Bank Stadium.
Yeah, and I want to give a big skull to Yin Yash for joining us tonight in the chat.
What's up,
It's a late night for us at the podcast, but we thank you for joining us in the chat. As always, if anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, maybe, tell us in the chat, and we will answer whatever you have or talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, shout out to the guys in the chat. I don't know who's there. I know you mentioned 2 names already. If we have any more, as I go through puberty on here, if we have any more people in there, we'll shout you out because we know it's late. It's like 12:41 a.m. on the East Coast, but wanted to knock this out early in the week. I'm tied up with the band, and I've got that later in the week, and I'm always working. So it's cool that you guys are joining us no matter what time we go because you're dedicated. So we love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
The next one, this is
my favorite one.
Yeah, I'll let you steal this one, man, because this is a feel-good story.
Yeah, I'll go for it because I'm the stupid one that has the Mobo jersey hanging in my closet behind me back there. Because I had to have it at training camp, dude. Former Vikings wide receiver Moritz Boehringer, Mobo, as we like to call him, he has signed with the Cincinnati Bengals and is going to switch his positions from wide receiver to tight end. Sure, why not? You know what? All joking aside, I'm still happy to see him get an opportunity in the NFL. He seems like a good kid. It's a good story. He never should have got drafted, but I don't know why the Vikings actually drafted him. They totally could have got him as an undrafted free agent.
For sure.
There was no other team that was going to do that. But it's cool to see him get an opportunity with the Bengals. I'm not so sure about him playing tight end. I don't quite get that switch. But sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just to give somebody a chance, you never know. This pulls on my heartstrings, man, because it's cool because of the international story that goes with it too. Just seeing how good he was over there. Now he was playing against some pretty easy competition, but not taking anything away from him.
Yeah, he was playing against like you and me over in Germany.
When he was drafted, he was freaking walking to practice. And you could hear like with the accent, like, oh man, that's cute too, because he's foreign and he's just like super happy to be here. I felt the genuineness from Moritz, and it sucks that he didn't make the team because he didn't make that 53-man cut, and he was on the practice squad for a little bit. But just to get a shot somewhere else, man, he can make some decent money that way. And who knows, man? He's a big guy, so maybe he'll do all right at tight end.
He's got the size. He's got the speed that you're looking for, too, in the NFL. I just don't know. It's so difficult, like Adam said, to make that jump from that skill level to the best of the best, the cream of the crop, to quote Randy Savage from from back in the day. It's really fucking difficult. I was talking to a college coach, a guy I know who was an assistant college coach at Mankato, and he was talking about how, even you look at like a fourth string, fifth string quarterback who's only brought in to training camp to throw to wide receivers is still one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Like, we make fun of a fifth string quarterback, but they're still extremely talented. And
for sure.
Yeah, and like that's the level of play that he jumped into. I can't imagine trying to make that transition. Can't imagine doing it.
No, and like you said, we these guys don't start because 1 out of 32 people in an entire country is a very small number. And even with those, the back half of those get criticized and scrutinized. Yeah. And they're better than the guys that aren't even starting. And you think about, man, these guys are really good at what they do. Even the guys that don't get to start, they have some raw stuff that they have to fix. But compared to me and you, or even the college guys, they'll go out and they'll embarrass you. So
yeah, totally.
To see that he's still hanging around with that level of talent, I mean, why not? It's good. I love it. And segue, because we got Mike Zimmer from the Bengals. He's going back to Mike Zimmer's old team, which is really weird. That comes full circle. So that's pretty cool.
A shout out to Habna, who just joined us in the chat.
What up, Habna?
For being with us.
This one's
anxious to see how Mobo does with Cincinnati as well. I agree. I think it is good news as well, too.
This next one sucks a lot because I hate negative news, and this is becoming a trend. But good thing, like I said the other week, is not starters. Recently signed Minnesota Viking undrafted free agent cornerback Holton Hill reportedly failed the mandatory drug test at the 2018 NFL Combine. He was believed to have a third-round grade prior to entering the NFL draft. Man, that's just like, I don't even know the word to say. That's so disappointing because third round, I mean, Russell Wilson came from the third round.
Yeah.
Daniil Hunter, to reference the Vikings, came from the third round, and he's a starter now. So this is frustrating because this is all in his control. But like we said it, and we'll say it again on the podcast. We're not going to hold you up for one mistake. And, I've heard a lot of people too. I remember my grandfather saying it. You can make a million mistakes because you're probably going to. Just don't make the same one twice. So Holton Hill, hopefully you learn your lesson and move on from there. We'll see what happens because we know Mike Zimmer loves his quarterbacks. So we'll see how that one rolls.
It's difficult. Not that I think that we should all be privy to what's going on in these kids' personal lives all the time. But wouldn't you kind of like to know what he was flagged for? Because in my mind, I'm looking at this going, well, if he failed a drug test, but the Vikings still took a chance on him as an undrafted free agent, what? Did he smoke a little pot? And is that what he got flagged for?
Marijuana charge? Because a marijuana charge is a little bit less significant than I was doing heroin. That's kind of concerning, but
or he's taken some kind of steroids or performance enhancing drugs. If the kid was flagged for smoking pot, I don't care at all. And so if we got a kid who should have been a third round prospect undrafted because he smoked a little dope, okay, I'm fine with that.
I'm looking at him now. He went to Texas, so he went to a big name school. It says that he denies failing the drug test, so that's crazy. I don't know how you can deny it, but
I hope that whatever the case may be, it's over with. He's a Minnesota Viking. Use that as a chip on your shoulder. Use it as motivation. And go out there and prove that you should have been drafted in the third round and make this roster, kid. Go out there and make a name for yourself.
And our favorite Vikings reporter we get to talk about, Chris Thomason. Do the Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. She's like, whenever we have to talk about Chris Thomason. So I'm reading from 24/7 Sports from the I want to close that out because that's playing. Oof. Okay. Sorry, we had a little hiccup there. I was talking from Chris Thomason. It says it was a diluted sample, and he claims it might have been from drinking too much Gatorade, whatever else. So it sounds kind of minuscule. I'm guessing it's a marijuana charge, but he says you just got to move on. Mistakes are mistakes. I put them in the past. We'll get over it. So, I mean, he's got the right presser release to say, hey, look, it's a small mistake. I'll get over it. But obviously, the Vikings looked into it and they said, all right, this isn't too much of a concern because they still took him as an undrafted free agent. So,
do you feel like we kind of have have the coaching staff, the facility, the locker room in place, that we can take a few of these character concern players on. And I feel like that, hey, this kid messed up a little bit pre-draft, but we can get him in this locker room with Terrence Newman and Xavier Rhodes, and I wish I could say Teddy Bridgewater, but he's not here no more. But players like that who were like, hey, if they want to work, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, and it's a 50-50 road. I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah. I do think that we have a good staff for that. I do think we have good players that'll guide them and get them focused on the grind of being an NFL player so they won't have time to do that stuff. As long as they can pick up their end and not hang out with the wrong crowd, not be in bad situations, I totally believe in this place. I mean, look at the turnaround we've had. So we went, 7-9 the first year. We had Matt Castle and a rookie Teddy Bridgewater. Cool. The next year we go 11-5. We win the division. Next year, Teddy goes down. We're 8-8, but we still compete. We're a couple of wins away from going to the playoffs still. And then last year, we had the second best season we've ever had. So when you're thinking about all these, and you got to think, we don't have any domestic violence issues on this team. We don't have people out there drinking and driving and crazy. We did take on Michael Floyd, but he wasn't with our team, and he still got another shot. So if anything, I think this is a good place for people to kind of rehabilitate themselves and to kind of have a second chance, if you will. Or, to have a fresh start. So, yeah, I totally believe in this organization. I totally believe in the coaching staff because they're kind of a no-nonsense kind of thing. And as long as you have, it on the table, look, we don't put up with that here. We're going to help you. We're going to put you on the right path. So you do your part. We'll help you get there. I believe in them.
Yeah, I'm all for giving people second chances. And it's not like they're bringing in players like, gosh, remember the Raiders back in the old days when they would just bring in, whoever that had just terrible issues on or off the field, Bill Romanowski or whatever. They're not doing that. They seem to be taking chances with guys who are deserving of a second chance. Michael Floyd didn't work out, but I can see why they wanted to give him an opportunity. And I think that he tried. And isn't that kind of what you ask for with players that are in that situation?
Yeah, the Michael Floyd situation is weird because, that was the eruption of Thielen and Diggs and the two-headed monster. And then you had Jarius Wright, who was, Mr. Third Down. So he was kind of stuck there at number 4, which a lot of wide receiver number 4s. I mean, he's essentially like Devin Aroma should do back in the day, or Jenksy Cat from way back when. That's just the role he was going to have. But the fact that he got a shot and the fact that he stayed, out of trouble the rest of the year last year, I mean, hey, more power to you, man. If you can contribute in some way, why not? He had a couple catches, so cool. Oh, man, so this is cool. We're going to head into the main topic of the show because we're going to talk about the dinosaur on the team who's going to be 40 this year. Holy crap, we got the Tom Brady of quarterbacks over here. Terrence Newman is the main topic of our show today, and it's bittersweet, but I am so happy to see him hang it up as a Viking because he says after this season, the 2018 season, he says, and I quote, per Chris Thomason again, I think this will be my last year. I cannot stand Chris Thomason. He just comes off like he has one of those faces you want to punch, and it's not even what his face looks like. It's because of the weird and stupid shit that he says. And just punch him in the face with a brick. Oh, love you, Chris. Mean it. He says, and I quote, Terrence Newman says, "I think this will be my last year, no matter what happens." Like we said, per Chris Thomason of the Pioneer Press. Going on, after 15 years, I've soaked in as much as I can. It's been a heck of a ride. I understand when it's time for me. I'm not going to put an onus on doing anything special. And I had to look that up. So the definition of onus is referred to something that is one's duty or responsibility. So it's not going to say that his responsibility is to do anything special this year, but man, go mentor the shit out of Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, and new cornerback Mike Hughes. Do your job there. Mm-hmm. And he won't be a starter, I won't think. Maybe he'll be the slot. Who knows? Maybe Mackenzie will take that. But when he can jump in and play, I mean, the last 3 years he's played for us, he's been awesome. Give or take a couple of plays, he's been pretty damn good especially for how old he is. He's not old, but in football years, he's ancient. So I love it, man.
I like it. I like the quote from Terrence Newman. Just the fact that he said that he's going to come in and he's going to play his role for the team, whatever the role is going to be, because he knows that it's going to be maybe reduced from even what he did last season, just by the fact that We've got younger corners. We've drafted another corner. You're probably not going to see as much playing time. But I like the fact that he's embracing this and he's taking this opportunity to say, I'm going to play and I'm going to make the most of this season. And that's what you want from a veteran player. I've always been kind of irritated with, we bring him up all the time, but like Adrian Peterson, not recognizing when it's time to take that veteran leadership limited role with the team. And Terrence Newman is doing that. And that's how you can continue to play at 40 years old in the NFL. You know what your role is and you play to it.
I'm looking at his stats from Pro Football Reference, and he's just been Mike Zimmer's baby the whole time. Take a guess without, adding it all up super fast in your head when he came in the league. What year?
96?
No, not that early.
I don't know what.
He came in 2003, and he was there in Dallas from 03 to 11 as their corner. This is insane, man. He's been with Mike Zimmer so much. Now, I don't think Zimmer maybe he was with the Cowboys then. He was with Mike Zimmer in Cincinnati, but he's been here with us so he's been with Mike Zimmer the last 6 years. This guy has 42 career interceptions. So, that's insane. He's just a playmaker, man. He's a great guy. Shout out to Terrence Newman. I'm glad that he could be a part of our main topic today. And like I said, he's going to have a limited role. He's not going to be playing a lot because he's a little bit older. But when he stepped in and had to play, God, he had some great stats the last 2 years. So
he will make plays for us.
Oh, absolutely.
There will be a time this season where he will step in a limited role, and it will be the end of a game. Terrence Newman is going to come out of nowhere and make a play that will win us a football game because that's what he does.
Dude, it's crazy. I remember last year he caught that crazy catch where it went underneath his leg and his leg was hiked up like he was doing a leg drop like Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. And he called an interception that way. Like, dude, you're 39. What are you doing? How are you making these plays? How are you doing Odell Beckham shit at corner? Like, this is crazy. That was pretty cool, though. It's just some of my favorite times of seeing him in a Viking uniform.
Yeah. Darren Roach in the chat, which Skull, and thank you for joining us, brings up an excellent point about Terrence Newman. He says his next career should be a cornerbacks coach for the Vikings.
Oh, absolutely.
I would not rule that out. I feel like this has been talked about for a couple years now. And for as well as he gets along with Mike Zimmer, and as well as he knows his system in and out, he could slide right into that coaching role. And I gotta believe that Coach Zimmer would want him on that staff. I think they would find a role for Terrence Newman if that is something that he wants to do moving forward.
All right, I'm looking now just because you said that because, we've advanced so much on the show. I can just look stuff up like we know what we're doing here, like we're at ESPN. So I just Googled it. How much does a position coach in the NFL play? And this is from Quora.com/how much do position coaches in the NFL make? It says, quote, only 3 years ago, the average salary for assistant coaches was in the $150,000 to $175,000 range. There are position coaches now pulling in $400,000 or more per season. So if you think he's going to slide off, he's played for 16 years now. He's not hurting for money at all, but he's not going to slide back and be like, man, I'm scraping to get bread money. He's going to be fine doing there, and he's not going to have the wear and tear on his body. I love the guy. I love his character. He's a pro. He is a pro's pro. So if he can come in and help out, I would absolutely love that. And that's a good point, Darren. That's a damn good point. I could see him working under the Mike Zimmer regime and doing some stuff like this because barring like 2 or 3 absolutely horrible seasons, Mike Zimmer's going to be here for a while. So I could see him doing that. That'd be pretty cool. And I would love to have him just as a fan.
Yeah, unless Mike Zimmer just decides to retire for health reasons or whatever, which God forbid that should ever happen. He ain't going anywhere on this. Yeah, I would just be like, I'm done. Whatever, I'm done. I would never be actually done, but you guys know what I'm talking about with that one.
So I'm looking now for Mike Hughes. Let's transition to the new rookie corner, going from one veteran to a rookie. Mike Hughes had some quotes from rookie minicamp. So he says, I came here for a reason.
Pull some.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, really quick. I wanted to pull some quotes up from him because, it's we're still trying to get to know our rookie players.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's fun to get to know them and know a little bit about their personality and where they're coming from. And what struck me with this first Mike Hughes quote that you're going to read is this sounds 100% like a Rick Spielman player. The very work ethic, focused kind of attitude that you get from Harrison Smith or Xavier Rhodes. This quote could come from either of them. So you can go ahead and read it off here.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Kyle, for pulling these up because these are good.
Yeah.
He says, and I quote, "I came here for a reason, to play ball and compete." He said after Friday's first day of 3-day camp. He also said, "That's all I have to worry about, just trying to get in on the field, trying to get in where I fit in, trying to show these coaches the type of player I am and get on the field." So, you know, after it's done, and shout out to Mike Hughes for being on the real national champions. I know Alabama won the title this year, but UCF went undefeated, and they had such a feel-good story. So he's on the real national champion team. So he's a national champion in my book from the University of Central Florida. He just wants to play. And, you know, their season was done in what, like January, February, January-ish? God, it's May now, so that's the first month of the year, the 5th. He's just happy to get on the field and actually play because it's a grind going through workouts and going through the combine and all of that because you got to look cool in shorts and a shirt, like they always say, and then waiting to see when and where you get drafted. And I'm sure it's a relief off his chest to be like, man, can I play football now? Because it's what I'm good at and it's what I get paid for. And the next one, slide into the next quote. This is pretty good, and I actually like this. He said, "Actually, during warmups, I dropped my first punt on Friday. Kind of got the jitters out. But after that, I felt more comfortable, and I started looking at the ball in and just being myself and playing." So, hey, man, that's what it's for. Like we were talking about, Sam Darnold earlier. Oh, he threw an interception. Well, I'm damn sure he does. The first time he's ever played in a pro anything. Got to get the jitters out. I love that quote. Just, hey, I dropped it. It's just getting the jitters out, man. It's the first time I played ball in a couple months. And it's a new place. I'm getting a new environment. Like, dude, more power to you, man. It's going to happen. You're going to have hiccups as rookies. God knows we blasted Trey Waynes the last 3 years, and he's come up clutch in some games for us. After you get those jitters out, I don't care. That's what practice is for.
No doubt, man. I also like that, and this is kind of the last bulletin point ties in with that too. Doesn't mean much this time of year, but I like the way that they're already getting him acclimated to running special teams in the NFL.
Yeah,
because I think, you know, you look at Mike Hughes' highlights not only as a corner, but he's a hell of a return man. Punt game, kick game, he can do it both. And so they're already out there working him and getting him, used to working special teams on an NFL level.
Yeah, it's good because, you know, he did that in college. It sucks the way the NFL is going because it feels like the no fun and the flag football league it's eventually going to. But I understand it's for player safety because the kickoff and punts, you know, they're not going to mean much anymore. Hell, for most of the kickoffs, they're just touchbacks now. And we're team touchback all the way here at the Per People Podcast. But, you know, for exciting plays, electrifying plays, as a Jim Ross would say, you know, you're going to return punts. You're going to punt. I can't think of one where there hasn't been any punting in a game. You know, we had a few where we only punted once or twice last year.
Prefer not to punt. I'm okay if we don't ever.
Yeah. But if the other team is punting to us, that is okay. And if we can get another like Percy Harvin back there, or shit, even a Marcus Sherrill's back, dude, he's returned a shit ton of punts. So,
well, I tell you what, from what I've seen from Mike Hughes, he looks electric in that return game. He looks like he could do some darn good things for the Vikings. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I think he's going to take the position from Marcus Sherrill's.
Yeah, I think so tue, unfortunately. And this is one of the times where we're probably going to be right and we're going to be sad because we haven't been so many seasons in a row. But he's Mike Hughes is a smaller guy. He reminds me of Trey Waynes. He's not a big stout corner like Xavier Rhodes, but man, he is fast and he is shifty. And oh man, I can't wait. He's going to do some good stuff for us. I have no doubt.
Yeah, how tall did we say Mike Hughes was? Like 5'11"?
Let me look it up real fast. But Mike Hughes, stay healthy, man, because we need you and we want you here.
Well, while you're looking that up, I also found that the Vikings are running him at slot corner, which, like I mentioned, that really doesn't mean anything. It's only a 3-day, rookie mini camp. You only got so many players. You got to do something with them. So, hey, throw him in at slot corner. But it's at least interesting to note that was one of the first spots that they wanted to try him out at.
Yeah, why not?
The chat says he is 5'10".
Yeah, I'm looking now. It's 5'11" for Wikipedia, 191. He ran a 4.53 at the 40, so that's a respectable time. 20 reps of the bench press at 225. Vertical jump of 35.5 inches. Broad jump of 10 feet 7 inches. So, yeah, he's got some big hands, got good arm length. He's going to be fine. Mike Zimmer is going to take this kid and mold him out of clay, and he's going to be great.
I'm okay with smaller corners. You wish they were all Deion Sanders out there. But, but you know, one of my favorite Minnesota Vikings of all time was Antoine Winfield. And Antoine was a smaller corner, and it didn't matter at all. That dude could step up in the run game and fucking smack people like no other, pardon my language. And he was a threat. He could defend passes as well, too. So, you know, height is very overrated, I think, at the corner position.
Yeah.
You get someone who's got that vertical and they're smart and they're fast and they know how to play the ball. You can jump a route and you can come up with a pass. You can defend a pass. All the same. Don't matter.
Yeah. It honestly, it's just going to be like, you know, perfecting your craft. And then they'll see what he's good at and they'll aim to his strengths. And then they'll also find the stuff that he needs to improve on, and they'll work on it day by day, little by little. So we have the cornerback whisperer and a head coach. And if you haven't noticed, he's a pretty damn good coach. So he will figure it out.
Yeah. I always like the way there are people on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, social media in general, like to act like they know more about coaching defensive backs than what Mike Zimmer does.
Yeah, like, sit down, shut up, eat your Cheetos, and be just be stupid. That's what you're good at. Because, like, if you were any good at this, you realize how hard it is, like, breaking down, like I said, the numbers. You have 32 teams, and we ridicule the bottom half of those. Just ridicule the last 8 or 7 teams in the NFL. Like, oh, they're terrible. The coaches are awful, blah, blah. And these guys they will shit out and lose more knowledge than you'll ever learn about football. So, yeah. All right, whatever, dude. If you're not doing that, you're not working for them. I don't listen to those people.
Yeah, none of us ever pretend to be experts. That's our thing. We're just fans. We're just fans of the Minnesota Vikings, and we like to chat about the team. Yaj brought up that Darrelle Revis was only 5'11". I think we might have mentioned that when we talked about Mike Hughes when he got drafted, but that's still an important point to bring up, that, you know, size doesn't matter. Revis Island was only 5'11", and he was one of the greatest. And
he's one of the best corners we've ever seen. Just a shutdown corner.
In modern NFL history, you betcha. Couldn't cover Randy Moss.
I knew you were going to say that. I love it.
Come on, that was one of my... Randy absolutely burned Darrelle Revis.
I think he did it twice, too, because that year he was with the Pats. Yeah. I think Tom Brady threw him like 22 or 25 touchdowns, something like that, which is stupid. And then the year he played for us in 2010 for a couple of weeks, I think the 500 touchdown from Brett Favre to Randy Moss. Yeah, and it was against the Jets, so I don't know if he was still playing for him in 2010. I think he was. But I would have put Darrelle Revis on Randy Moss because he's freaking Randy Moss. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Still can't stop him. Shout out to Evan, who said he finally got a chance to be with us live.
What's up, Evan?
Loves the show. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I swear, man, we're not just kissing ass because I don't have a pair of ass kissing boots. I can tell you that from my military career. But I can tell you, like, this means the world to us because we do it for you guys. We would still do the show if nobody listened. I could give a shit less. But the fact that you do, it gives us a lot of purpose. So thank you, guys. We'll start shouting everybody out again.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. I love getting comments from people. I love interacting with you guys in the chat, even when we're super late like this, which we know we get it. We'll try to be a little earlier next week. But, over on my other podcast I do, it's always really fun when people leave comments, because someone commented about a particular statement that I made like 30 minutes into a podcast. They gave the friggin' timestamp on the YouTube video and was like, that's an amazing idea. And I'm like, mind blown at this point. Like, who is listening? But that's really cool. And so, I love that. That's really cool. So no, thank you, Evan. I know you like the shout out, but it honestly means more to us that you listen and you comment and you guys are all here. It's super cool.
And I always ask for like pros and cons, but even if you guys just ask a question or you want to know, or you want to throw in your opinion on, let's say we're talking about Trey Waynes, you're like, Trey Waynes is garbage. We're like, all right, cool. Why do you think that? We'll talk about it. It gives us more content for the show. Or if you're like, man, yeah, Randy Moss is the fucking GOAT. We're like, hell yeah, he is. And then Kyle West will be like, Randy Moss, you know, because he loves him. So why not? It's cool. That's what we love. And I think, is that it? That's the end of the notes, man. I think that's about a wrap for the show.
That's the end of the notes. It's kind of a short week. I always want to know, like, if you like a player or you don't like a player, or you like a signing or don't like a signing or whatever, tell us either or. Tell us why. You don't ever have to. I don't ever want people to agree with us just because it's something that we said. Like, if we signed a player and you think it's the worst decision ever, tell us. I want to know why. I want to have that discussion with people. That's why we started. That's why we started a podcast. That's why we have Twitter. That's why we have Facebook.
Yeah, let us know. The why is the most important part. It's just like at work, the Air Force preaches that. They're like, if you bitch about something and you want to fix something, give us a solution to it. I'm not saying you guys bitch whatsoever. We do more bitching on the show than you guys ever will. But if you guys have something that you want to say, bitch. Oh yeah, and it's fun too. I enjoy it. But if you give us something, give us a why, because all it does is give us more content and more topics to get to, and you're going to get your personal fix too, because we're going to shout you out for it. So we appreciate it. But
did I ever tell you? I don't know if I've ever told this story on the air. We've got a little bit of dead time, so I'll tell it really quick.
Okay.
When Adam and I first started this podcast, it was, I think, it was year number 2 of Brett Favre, so that would have been 2010. We were accused a couple years later of being bandwagon fans who only did who only did the podcast because the Vikings were like having success at that particular moment in time. And I had to remind them, like, we started this when Christian Ponder was the quarterback. We started this when the roof of the Metrodome fell in. We were doing this podcast. Like, we started this when Brett Favre killed himself and his career was over. When the Vikings killed the Iron Man of the NFL, we started this podcast. So don't ever accuse us of being fair weather fans. Like, we survived Leslie Frazier and a 3-win season. Like, we are not fair weather fans here, folks.
I don't know who said that, but I won't talk a lot of trash and like demean them, but it's just funny because when you're so wrong at something, I have to laugh at you. And anybody who's a Vikings fan, you can't really be a bandwagon. You can jump on after last year, like we went 13-3, we were a game short of the Super Bowl. Cool, you jumped on because we did good that year. If you stick with us and you learn, I'm the guiltiest one of all of us, man. I didn't have a team for the longest time. I just liked a player. And then when I saw him go to the Vikings and I wanted to actually become a real legitimate football fan, learn how the process worked, the positions, the coach, I wanted to learn all the nuances. I landed with a team that I've been with for over a decade now. And you know what? We've never won a Super Bowl. How can you call us a bandwagon fan? If anything, if I was a Seattle fan 5 years ago, 3-4 years ago, or if I'm a Pats fan or whoever, yeah, you can call me a bandwagon fan. If you're a Vikings fan, you're not a bandwagon fan. Bless your heart for supporting this team because they are frustrating as hell.
Oh, it's difficult. You survive through some of the turmoil that, like, we survive. Like, you're a freaking fan of this team.
It's like Dan Marino and Little Nicky. You're just praying to the devil. Be like, I just want one Super Bowl. Please.
I don't care where fans come from or how long you've been a fan of the team. You don't have to have some... I come from 3 generations of Vikings fans or in order to be a Vikings fan. Like, I came on because I was in middle school. Everyone in my family was like a baseball fan at the time. I don't give a fuck about baseball, but they were all Minnesota Twins fans.
Okay.
And Randy Moss just happened to come like the 98 season where everyone in middle school at the time and like PE playing kickball or football or whatever, throwing it around were, we would all imitate Randy Moss. And so I became a Vikings fan in part because Randy Moss went on a big tear in the 98 season. So I guess that I was a bandwagon fan when I came aboard the team, but I've been here ever since. And so who cares? It don't matter. As long as you're here and as long as you support the team, that's all that matters, man.
It really is. If anything, for me, you could thank the Green Bay Packers for me being a fan. I followed Brett Favre around because he's the funnest dude ever to watch play.
Yeah.
I survived watching a season with him in the Jets, but I saw Minnesota and I did my research just being curious. and I've been a fan ever since. You call me a bandwagon from them, but going through the Donovan McNabbs and the Matt Castles and the Christian Ponders of the world, I think I've earned my right to be labeled a real fan, and being here consistently, especially with the show. God, man, I've watched every single game for the last decade plus. So why not? It's just like music for me. I'm the music guy on the show. I'm in a Metallica band. Like, well, you're a bandwagon Metallica fan. Well, number one, I can't help when I was exposed to it and what made me like it. But if you consistently like it through the good and the bad, no matter if it's football or music or whatever you do, don't shame people for that. Don't shame people for having a good vibe with you and having a good time. Like, pull in somebody you don't know. Like, God, when we saw the Minneapolis Miracle, I hugged 7 Viking fans I never met in my life, and I was like, is this real life right now? And just that euphoria, that whole feeling there, I didn't care where you were from. I was like, you're my brother or you're my sister right now, and we're going to be on cloud 9 together.
See, I hope that we gained a lot of new fans from the Minneapolis Miracle, and I think that that's okay. If that's your first exposure to the team, welcome aboard. Like, I hope you're with us for the long haul. Like, that's cool. That's exciting. That's fun that the Vikings can be a part of, pop culture. We were a part of pop culture.
Oh, absolutely.
During that week, I had people that were not even football fans that were coming up to me that were being like, man, I seen that Vikings play and I'm not even a football fan, but wow, that was a hell of a catch from Stephon Diggs. And like, that's cool. That's fun. I like that.
I think about that too. Like, even the people that even, I haven't seen in a while, even people that aren't in my life anymore. Like, I have an ex-wife, she's from Minnesota. You think about, oh my God, what if that person was in Minnesota when this happened? Or a bunch of my friends from deployments I haven't seen in 5-6 years, they're Vikings fans. I'm like, it's like overseas. When I was deployed, my first deployment, I was in Afghanistan, and I watched that Pittsburgh Steelers Arizona Cardinals Super Bowl with that was just a slugfest at the end with that crazy catch. I think it was Santonio Holmes. And I was just like, dude, this is incredible. I don't even care. I'm not a fan of either of these teams. This is football. And I'm thinking about, like, what if you were deployed? Like, when I was deployed for my 3rd time, I was next to Russia in Kyrgyzstan. And that's when Adrian Peterson broke the 2,000-yard, record. And I was just like, and I just grabbed somebody. It was like, oh, my God, there's only been like 6 people to ever do this. He's number 7. And you just think about where you were at that time and sharing that moment with somebody. Dude, I don't care where you come from, what your skin color is, anything of that. Come on over and let's just have a good time together.
Totally, man. I totally agree with you. That's why when people always talk shit about how the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl, why are you still fans of the team? Like, it doesn't like it. Honestly, of course, I want the Vikings to have won a Super Bowl, and I hope they win one this coming season. But just because we haven't doesn't mean I'm any less of a fan. It doesn't take back memories from my childhood of pretending to be Randy Moss in middle school. Like, that it doesn't detract from any of that.
Yeah, and he slapped the face of other fans too. Like, the Panthers have never won one. I'm from Charlotte. If the Panthers won one, I wouldn't be upset. I'd be happy for my hometown. Same thing for the Lions and the Browns. Like, you can't just smack that. You're smacking a city in the face for saying stuff like that. That's disrespectful.
I always want to be like, it must be easy to be a Green Bay Packers fan. Like,
it must be nice to have Brett Favre followed by Aaron Rodgers. Or like Indy, you follow up Peyton Manning with freaking Andrew Luck. Like, it must be nice.
Yeah, or you're a Patriots fan. You had maybe the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, and 6 Super Bowl rings in the modern era?
5. I think it's 5. It's 5, and they've been to 8, and it's been in less than 20 years. Are you kidding me?
That's never going to happen again. Patriots fans better be enjoying this shit.
We shifted all the way to Tom Brady. I think we should shut it down.
Probably. It's a fun episode, though.
Oh yeah, man! This is Dead Space. We're gonna talk about as much as we can. It's gonna be a little filler here and there until we get started to minicamp and OTAs and all that. But we'll keep you informed as we always do every week. I have to plug everything that we're a part of because we want for you guys that are faithful in the chat right now. Thank you so much, as we've mentioned before. Go on social media and do us that favor. If you're already here, man, do us one extra. Share this episode, share our page, just tag us in it. Or if you just want to type it out and tell your friends to follow it too, whatever you want to do, share our social media, spread the word, because we're trying to build. We're trying to build every single week to gain at least one person. If we can just get just one person every week, it's been worth it. And
we're just here for fun. We don't make any money on this. We don't.
Nope.
There's no money. There's no nothing. We're just here to talk Vikings football because it's fun and it's what we like to do.
And if anything, I won't say we lose money, but we'll actually hook you up. During the season, we do fantasy football type stuff. We do a pick'em league and all that stuff. We do a challenge every week, and we'll send you gifts if you win. And that's out of our pocket because we like you guys so much. So that's something to look forward to if you're new to the Purple People podcast. Stick around for us. Listen every week. And when the season comes around, man, it gets even better because we review games. We do all kinds of cool stuff. But
really
give
quick,
us a follow. Go ahead.
I want to read this out really quick. Hopna says he's been a fan since 2014, and he became one because of Mike Zimmer and Teddy Bridgewater. I think that's really cool.
Welcome.
I think that's awesome, and that will be, you know what, that will be your story for why you're a Vikings fan. And, you know, we all come on at different times, and that's okay.
Yeah, you're in a good era, man. We have a great head coach. Teddy was such a good story. He was such a good guy for us. And now you can go along for the Kirk Cousins train and see what Mike Zimmer does with that, it's going to be great. He's going to do a lot of good shit. So really excited, man. Welcome to the family, as we say. Follow our pages on Twitter, Purple People Podcast. Purple People Pod on Facebook, the Purple People Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, everywhere. Man, I can't even remember all the places. Go listen to all our stuff. Give us a review. Share it. That's the biggest thing I can tell you guys. I'm going to pound it through. Share all of our stuff on your social media pages. Tell people about it so we can get more people like you. As always, join us in the chat. Adam Carlson's not here. I'm going to plug his stuff. If you're a fan of the Vikings and this podcast, you probably heard us before if you've listened. The Viking Age. He makes his dough there, and he does a great writer for that place. So go check out all his articles. Click on them. Leave comments. He gets more money and more advertisement for that. If you like The Walking Dead, he also writes for Undead Walking. He's a big pro wrestling fan as well. We'll keep you up to date with some pro wrestling stuff here. Him and Kyle will keep you up to date.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle has a great podcast, and I'll shout his shirt out right now. He'll throw it up there and let you see. It's called Shut Up, I Like This. Him and his buddy, I think he said Jeff is his name.
Yeah, Jeff Porter. He's the one that
review films, man, and I love that show. I love it so much. So that's another cool thing. We do a bunch of stuff around here. It still says that we're live, so I'm not sure if we're having some difficulties on Kyle's end, but I was mentioning Shut Up, I Like This. That's Kyle's page. I'll try to wrap this up now because I'm not sure if we're having technical difficulties. It still says we're live. So I don't know. Did we lose you for a second?
I don't know. The chat kind of dropped, but it just came back up. So I
was still rambling. I was giving your guys' page a shout out. I was going to say I was going to wrap it up because it seemed like dead space, but it still said we were live. So we'll wrap it up now. But check out Kyle's stuff. He has a podcast on the side about films. It's called Shut Up, I Like This. Check out Adam Carlson's stuff at thevikingage.com or Undead Walking. I have a band in El Paso, a Metallica tribute band called Disposable Ink. Look us up. And that's just our stuff we always plug at the end of the show. But thank you, everyone who showed up tonight in the chat. Thank you so much. Share all our stuff and get us some more followers. And we'll see you next week for episode 302. And until you see us next week, stay classy, Minnesota.
Peace out. Thanks, everyone.